Thank you, Father. I pray that your Spirit fills this space as we wrap up the last of the commandments today. And I pray, Father, again, get me out of the way and let it be you that is speaking. I pray that everyone here hears in this message today something that maybe they didn't even know they needed to hear. But God, help us always to remember that this is pointing right back to you. And may we find importance in talking about these commandments and what they mean for us in light of that. I'm so grateful for your Son, Jesus Christ. I'm thankful for what he has provided to us, for that eternal life that we have waiting. All we have to do is just say, yes, I want that, and it's ours. You are such a merciful God. You are endlessly patient, endlessly kind, and your love chases us always. Help us always, Father, to remember that. Be with us all with whatever it is that we walked in here with. God, you know us intimately. You know our hurts and our pains and our sufferings, and you also know what we rejoice over. God, I pray that you fill all of those spaces with you, that your presence is filled in the way that is just so desperately needed. Thank you as we talk on this last commandment about coveting. Father, be here, be present. In your Son's name I pray. Amen. All right. Before, we'll do our what if, because until I get sick of it, we will probably continue to do that. So I'm going to just open and we'll see what one it is today. Again, if you don't know, this is what if. It was given to me by a pastor friend of mine, written by a woman named Ann Smith. And she was 100 years old when she created a list of 100 things expressed in a question. And they all start with what if. And the one I opened to is, and this is really, really good, actually. What if? What if truly listening is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to another person? And that is truly a great gift. We've talked about that before with listening to understand instead of to respond. But today, we get to talk about this. You'll notice we got a lot of green background, envy, jealousy, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that and hopefully go a little deeper than maybe we often think about this one and connect it to our lives. So, Exodus 20, verse 17 says, no lusting after your neighbor's house or wife or servant, or maid, or ox, or donkey. Don't set your heart on anything that is your neighbor's. I think that pretty much covers it all right there in that list. When God says don't cover anything, we can't go to him and say, but what about this? Anything. So truly, this commandment comes down to your heart. What is the state of your heart? How do you see your life, what you have and what you don't have? In James 4, 1 through 10, I know it's a little longer, but it says this. Where do you think all these appalling wars and quarrels come from? Do you think that they just happen? Think again. They come about because you want your own way and you fight for it deep inside yourselves. You lust for what you don't have and are willing to kill to get it. You want what isn't yours and will risk violence to get your hands on it. You wouldn't think of just asking God for it, would you? And why not? Because you know you'd be asking for what you have no right to. You're spoiled children, each wanting your own way. You're cheating on God. If all you want is your own way, flirting with the world every chance you get, you end up enemies of God and his way. And do you suppose God doesn't care? The proverb has it that he's a fiercely jealous lover, and what he gives in love is far better than anything else you'll find. It's common knowledge that God goes against the willful proud. God gives grace to the willing humble. So let God work his will in you. Yell a loud no to the devil and watch him make himself scarce. Say a quiet yes to God and he'll be there in no time. Quit dabbling in sin. Purify your inner life. Quit playing the field. Hit bottom and cry your eyes out. The fun and games are over. Get serious, really serious. Get down on your knees before the master. It's the only way you'll get on your feet. When I sat here, and I had the privilege of starting this sitting up north overlooking a beautiful lake, way in the peaceful, quiet, nobody else around north, and it was a beautiful place. But it was a wonderful place to just sit on this and really, really think about what this means. I grew up always, you can't, want their toy or want their thing or want that. And it was all about these wants that we have. But I wanted to take it a lot deeper. And then it struck me that for many of us here that are in recovery, and you don't even necessarily have to be in recovery like many of us are to be dealing with a lot of these things. But we have some unique struggles that can come along. And I just wanted to read some things that it just kind of crossed my mind, and I sat with that and thinking about it. So thinking of this not coveting, which that means don't be jealous, don't be envious, don't be saying, I wish I could, all those things. So some things that I have heard people talk about or in just random conversations or whatnot were some of these things. Being envious of people that can hang out together and just live a normal life where they could enjoy a beer or a drink with somebody and not have a problem. It becomes this, why can't that be me? Why do I have an issue? Why do I have to have a problem? Why can they have all the fun? Or kind of in that same thing, why does it have to be so complicated for us in community? Like we have to worry about things other people don't have, or we have to worry about our drugs going to be there, our alcohol going to be there. We have to have our escape plans and all this thing, and we can get so dissatisfied that we can't just come and go freely in life like we see other people being able to do. We envy that freedom that they have of not being weighed down by addiction. Oh, this has been a big one. And we can often look at people who didn't have the struggles that we did, because for many of us, years of our life were given over to addiction. We can see people in our age group that we may have graduated with, and we look at how financially secure they are. They've got a savings account, they've got investments, their house is maybe paid off. Look at that, they go on these vacations and drive these new cars, they have all this stuff and you start just you just look at what you don't have and you start wishing and wanting, and then you can beat yourself up. You know where I'm going? I know that I've had those thoughts. I know how much of my money was thrown out the window because of my past and my addiction. Physical health, appearance. This has been a big one. A number of us deal with physical ramifications of addiction. Everything from health, skin, teeth, you name it. It affects us profoundly, and it's just not one or two of us, it's many of us. But it's something I hear so many people talk about, and it becomes a thing of shame or an embarrassment, or I have to forever carry around. So again, we get envious and jealous of people that don't have to live like us because of our choices, though. Then we see people that have these beautiful, intact relationships with family and friends. And if we don't have that, I know I've expressed that before, I struggle greatly with that. I take great joy in seeing families restored. I love seeing families walk in here with the kids. I love seeing that, even though it tears my heart to shreds, because that's not fact in my life. That could easily become an envy and jealousy thing, and in fact, it has many times. But I'm equally able to do both. I truly celebrate restoration of families, while I grieve that I don't have any family in my life that I can be around. That's gutting. That's gutting. It was even worse when it started with some of my kids now being estranged. I'm like, God, why, when I came back, did you take more? You know, I got really dissatisfied for a while. It seemed so unfair. So unfair. But I found that focusing on the beauty of watching restoration happen, it seems contrary, but it actually helped me. I take great joy in that because I don't want people to feel loss, because that's what my envy did. Like, it's not fair. Why do they get it and I don't? Like what? I want everyone to be like me? I don't. So that can be a difficult one for many people. We can get really upset that people don't trust us, but we changed, right? We changed. Other people are trusted. They trust my brother. They trust my sister. Nobody trusts me, but what do I have to do? Well, you know, using myself as an example, if I was off and drinking for 40 years, it's going to take some doing to prove to everybody that this version of me is here to stay. That's just consequences. It's just part of life and what happens. But it can be something that can irritate us. It can feel really unfair, and we can focus on that. We can be envious and jealous of people that don't have the reputation that we do. People look at us and say, oh, there's an addict or there's a drunk. You know, that label people like to throw on us. And just once we would like, can we not have the label? Can just once we show up at the family and not be the drunk or the addict? You know, we can get dissatisfied in those moments. I hear from so many people, when is the craving ever going to go away? Like, why can't I be one of those people that seems like they never want to do it again and they're never going to? That's not fair. How do I get like that? It's a process. It is a process. I can promise you, even the ones that seem like they are rock solid and maybe likely never ever going to do it again, we have our moments. We have our times and our temptations too. Maybe we're further down the road. Maybe it just looks different on the outside for some of us. But addiction's just one of those things, you know, in the Bible it talks about that thorn in the side, you know, like, God, please take that away. Maybe for some of us, that's just going to be our thorn, that reminder. But if we can look at it like God delivered from that and start seeing it that way instead of, can you just take it away? Like, can you make it go away? God, can you like just, you know, be that magic God and take all my problems away, because you can. And that becomes the issue with these things. We start looking at God like he dispenses magical cures. You know, I have a problem, fix it. I have a problem, fix it. And if he doesn't, what do? We can get angry and upset and frustrated because, God, you can do it. Well, you know, and then it's either the, you don't love me or I'm not worthy. And we spiral and we spiral and we spiral. But I think it's not just us in recovery that deals with issues like this. It's everybody. We're human beings. And truly, what this commandment is all about, you have to literally examine the true desires of your heart. Really. When you are looking at something, you're like, I want it. Ask yourself, why do I want that? What is it about that makes me want it? Let's say it's a house. If you look at it and you're like, I want that, I want that, I want that. What is it that makes you want that over where you're at? Is there a logical reason? Well, the roof is caving in on mine and all the water pipes burst and it's got a huge serious black mold issue. I can seriously understand why this other house would be better for you. But is that the reason why we're usually looking for a new house? Or is it because it's bigger, it's better, it has more land, or it's in a better neighborhood, or it has a pool, or it has a this? Is it the things this house has, or is it truly a need? Or there's relationships. Yeah, let's go there for a bit. I know, chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. Because this commandment often goes to that, don't covet what is your neighbor's. That can include relationship in that home, husband or spouse. When you're going through a rough time, it gets really easy to look at other homes and say, I want that. I want that. I don't want what I have. I don't want my reality. And that can turn into absolute chaos and turmoil in our lives. Seriously, because then we start to look at what's in our home and in our lives and like, why can't you be like him? Why can't you be like her? It would be easier for us if you'd be like, You've welcomed discontent and dissatisfaction into your home. No matter how you look at each other, you're going to be peeking over the shoulder, seeing the neighbors who have it made. I can guarantee you, even your neighbor that may have it made doesn't. If there's a truly good relationship inside those walls, it's because your neighbors are taking care of it. It doesn't happen by accident. You know, you got to water and fertilize your own yard if you want it green. You can't just sit with your water hose pouring on someone else's yard and expect that your grass is going to get green. Your heart has to be to home, to what you have in your home. Everything from our finances to our jobs to the cars we have, all of it. Do we have an attitude of satisfaction about it? Are we happy about it? I listened to this amazing sermon, message, whatever you want to call it. And in fact, I listened to it 3 times. I really enjoyed it. And it didn't even have to do with this one. It actually had to do with dopamine. But he said something in there that I'm like, this goes so well with this. Who here has ever gotten, you know, a new to them vehicle that they really love to drive? Like they were like, I have the keys, I'm going to get in my car and drive it. I love it. Do you feel the same way 6 months later, 7 months later? Are you keeping it as spotless as you did day one? Are you worried about the dirt roads you drive down? You know, are you washing it all the time? Because if you look at my little Poppy, my beloved Subaru, that girl is trashed out. I can tell you the day I got her, I call it got her like she's a person, but the day I got that car, I'm like, I'm going to keep it just like this. I was, every little thing. Like, you know, I get out, everything comes out. I didn't even want to take the plastic stuff off the mat. You know, can we just keep it all on? It's always going to look like this. No. You lose that, you can very much lose that excitement quickly. Because if you go take a look, Yeah, you probably could survive a week in there if we got in a wreck, because I got cases of water, leftover s'mores bar, blankets, a sweatshirt, stuff from my grandkids, things from camping. Yes, there's some wrappers because this girl likes to snack and eat, you know. It is dirty and sandy and dusty, and I now have a dent in the passenger side because some crazy juvenile deer that doesn't understand roads ran right into the side of my car. And the funny thing was, I'm like, well, kind of pop it out. It's got a little creasy dent. You can see, you know, the paint is chipped. I'm like, I'm going to have to cover it so it doesn't rust, but it didn't rattle me like it did at first because, I've had it for a while. So this pastor in that sermon talked about that. He goes, I got that brand new car and I'm so excited. Like I'm driving the car to church and feeling amazing and great in this car. And he goes, it's just a car now. But our minds can become like that with everything. We're so grateful and excited for it right out of the gate, right? Like this amazing thing. And then it's familiar. And then it's just that. And then it's like my poor car sitting out there, desperate for a bath, a good detail, a vacuuming, and can you please clean me out? I have to do that. That's on my list this week. I will do it. But why didn't I keep that? But I love this car. This is great transportation. God provided this to me. The better I take care of it, the longer it's going to last. Why don't I feel the same joy driving the car? I frequently do. I still love this car, but I'm not taking care of it like I should. It becomes an afterthought. So what if that car's relationship or house or job or finances? You know, that mindset. We're all excited in the beginning. Feels so good. It's so great. It's so wonderful. And then it's not. And sometimes it truly isn't. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it really isn't. Sometimes you are in a situation that isn't right or best for you and may not be God's plan for you. And God will move you out of those things because his plan is better. And yes, that it can even be relationships. I grew up in a church that pounded it in my head. You said yes, that's it forever. And when I left a violent marriage, I was excommunicated and then shunned, and that continues to this day. That was not God's plan for my life, to be in a violent, abusive, unhealthy relationship. He doesn't want me unequally yoked. It wasn't my job to try and make an abusive person better. That wasn't my responsibility. I'm not saying you just walk away from everything at the drop of the hat, but I'm saying we have to have some mercy and grace too, because God does. Taking just a little side detour in case you think I'm feeling hardcore a certain way, because my life hasn't been hardcore. Robert is not my first husband. But Robert is the one God intended for me. He brought me to it. But it's a reason why we have to be so careful with our attitudes towards things. Everything from relationship to what we have, but let's go and look at the things we don't have. Let's say we don't have a lot of money in our account. Maybe we don't have a car. Maybe we don't own a home. Maybe we don't have a relationship. Maybe we have a relationship and we're struggling. How do we feel about those things? Are we content in trusting in God for his plan even in those? Or are we wishing that it was different? And this is hard stuff because we're human beings with human desires and a human heart, right? It's really difficult to sit and look at a bank account that's that low and well, for me to stay in this apartment or this house or to keep the electric on, I need this much money. Like, after that comes out, then what? Are we living in a spirit of fear? Are we angry at God? Like, how come, I'm working hard, like I'm barely making ends meet. Do we have that attitude about it? Are we grateful that somehow, oh, it was covered this month, I'm not sure how. I'm sure how it happens. But do we trust God in that? In a job we're dissatisfied at, we're just frustrated. Maybe it's coworkers or the hours or the schedule is rough. Like, I hate working this shift, or all this mandatory overtime, or not enough hours. Do we let that go into, well, just forget the whole thing and walk away? Do we let discontent and dissatisfaction about your lot in life overrun and color everything in your life? Relationships is where it really gets hard, though. Difficult. Living and interacting with people is where it's the hardest. It's where the emotions are the most raw, especially when things are rough. And it's often the time where it's so easy. It's like, this is better, this is better, this is better, this is better. But it's not going to make the rough better. You can't fix this if it's fixable, focused on other things. Or if this isn't fixable, you can't be already focused on other things thinking, but that's going to be great and life will be wonderful. You know, God has such a plan on our life because he loves us, because he cares about us, because he understands if left to our own desires, we're going to be a hurting, sad, lonely, broken people. It's only God that can fill us the way that we're seeking. We human beings, and again, in the United States especially, because we are a wealthy country, even the poor of us are wealthy in this country, and we don't even see that. We just see what we don't have because we're surrounded by wealth. We are surrounded by the idea that getting and having is everything. Except, what is the getting and having that you want? Is it things, stuff, relationships, money, and people, or is it God? Because people that say that they're Christian and that they love Jesus, this should be the everything. This right here. Should be that, I got to stay on my slides because I am often going, so. That dissatisfaction for where you are in life with what the state of your relationship, your finances, your home, your car, your job, all of that, if you're dissatisfied and unhappy with that, who you're truly unhappy with is God himself. I had to sit with that hard truth for quite a bit this past week. Sitting up on that hillside, just looking at the water, because I had things I was truly dissatisfied, like going for more, going for bigger, and God's like, I think God put the brakes on some things because I need you to see what I've given you now, because I'm greatly blessed right now. We need to trust him in everything, not just when you've received something you want, but even more so when you feel yourself losing things you really want to keep. I've had to do that. I had to learn to find contentment and trust in God when another of my kids joined the band that's angry at mom right now. Won't tell me why. I have literally no idea at this point. I think it's just stubbornness, and I'm not going to get off my hill. So I'll wait it out. But do you think I was content and joyful in God and God, your plan is better than mine? Because no, I went to God all the time telling them what my plan is, because for me in my life, that will be better. I want all my kids, all my grandkids, my son-in-law, all of them in my life. And then another one left. God allows lessons in life that are to your benefit. And I know how backwards that sounds because I just said I've lost a relationship with my children who I love dearly. And then said, but God allows things that are to your benefit. And I say that meaning it today. It's taken me a while to get there, but I mean it. I'm grateful for even the hard ones because God is teaching me how to love broken people by allowing me experiences that I know firsthand what broken feels like. But that true contentment in God, I have that because I can look back on my life and there was never a time where he wasn't there. Even and especially during my hardcore running away from God drinking days. It's the reason I'm alive and sitting here today because I didn't plan to be. All the times when I don't know how I survived, I don't know how. I do now, it was God showing up. A single mom with 6 kids, trying desperately to hold it all together, with a huge drinking issue, trying to cover up some trauma. Money was rough. My kids always had food, and we always had clothes, and they always had shelter. That wasn't me, trust me. And looking back, it's very obvious who it was. It was him. I have learned today to truly be grateful for everything I have in my life right now, instead of thinking, well, but further down the road after I do this, there's going to be more money in the bank, so I'll be more comfortable and I can relax. No, I've learned to relax right now. Because God says, test me. And so I did. And by doing that, I said, God, I'm taking you at your word and I'm trusting you. You said that you will provide for all my needs. So I am giving it all to you and I will be grateful for what I have. That's a struggle some days. But boy, is it freeing. He provides at just the right time. He's just waiting for us to turn and look at him for it. This envy and coveting, it takes our eyes right off from him. It causes us to look at him and say, you weren't enough. You didn't even give me what I wanted. What, you gave it to me and then it was gone? Like, God, you failed. How come you're not taking care of me? How come I don't have enough money? How come my house, why am I living in this house that always needs something fixed? That's really easy to do. I'm not judging anybody because I struggle with that because I'm human. Human nature. We don't want to have to work so hard. But let's go back to Genesis. Let's go back to the fall. And what was the consequences of ours wanting to have it all? God said to man, you will work from the day you're born until the day you die. That's the penalty of what you've chosen. If you are waiting for life to be simple and easy, you're not on the God plan. You're just not. It isn't simple and it isn't easy doing it totally trusting God's plan. I tried for years to do it my way, but I tried to be like Christian in doing it. So I didn't exactly say these words, but this was the attitude behind it. Hey, God, I know you're really busy because there's a lot of people down here. So here's my list of things. If this would just happen, then just do this and then I'll be good and I won't bother you. That's kind of how we approach them. I have a wish list. God, you provide it. Then I'm going to be happy and yeah. All my wish list of things. I am really grateful he didn't give it to me. None of it. None of it. I didn't find contentment at all until I stopped giving God my wish list. I didn't find contentment until I stopped asking for what I wanted and instead said, God, I'm yours to do with as you wish. And it's been quite a ride. It's been quite a ride, and it will be for everyone that says it and means it. I think the analogy, Jesus walking on water, we think about like the impossibility of walking on water and the faith it would take to step outside of that boat and start walking. It's kind of an analogy for what it's like to literally mean it when you say, God, I'm giving myself to you. I'm gonna test you. You said I could, and I'm gonna trust you. It's on you. I'm gonna do my best to be faithful, and I'm gonna trust, and I'm not gonna desire what you haven't given me, no matter what it is. Relationship, no relationship, my house, lack of house, a car that looks brand new off the lot or pretty beat up like it does right now, jobs, family dynamics, social circles, struggles with addictions, all of those things. Until you willingly hand that fully over to God and say, thank you for everything I have right now. I'm so grateful to you, God, for what you've given me, and I trust you. Until we do that, we're going to remain people that are always going to want. We're going to want different, bigger, better, other than, anything but this. We all desire to have healthy relationships. To be in a healthy relationship, you have to be selfless. It means the number one person in your relationship is the other person. For those of us in relationship, how easy is that to do? How easy is it for me every day to say my desire is towards my husband first? That's a struggle. Because I sure have a wish list. I have ideas and thoughts, and this sounds amazing and great, but I need to be selfless in relationship. It means I need to work on it. I need to listen. I need to understand my partner, my friends, the people I interact with. That means listening to understand. Listening to understand will solve so many problems. I promise you. Because we are so wired to simply respond. In fact, we already are ready to respond before they have finished talking. We've heard what we wanted to hear, and we know what we want to say. So what happened then? It's all about us, right? We need to listen to understand. If we see people, I'll use myself as an example. I can look at myself from the perspective that I'm in, at the age that I'm in. If I had to retire tomorrow, I would be in some serious trouble because I don't have a retirement plan. I don't have retirement savings. I don't have any of it. That has long since been wiped out by former relationships who literally just took my money and then left. But I willingly let it happen. Oh, you want me to pull out of my retirement? Okay. Because I managed to scrape and claw and cling to and save up, which for me was a good deal of money, like over $15,000. And that to me, maybe to some sounds like nothing. But to me, a single mom of 6 kids, it took a lot to do that. I was desperately, because I'm thinking ahead, you got college things and anticipated expenses and this and that. I'm not saving for vacations on that money. It was literally like, how am I going to survive? And then a relationship came along, and this is going to be wonderful and great. And, oh, you know what? We just want, yeah, it's all gone. It's all gone. I don't have what people would call a fancy white-collar career, but I don't want to give up the career that I currently have. It's the best I've ever had. I don't have the house that I used to dream about. Like, I used to know the neighborhoods and areas that were the place to live. I could just picture it, the rolling hills, the beautiful stables and the horses out there and a riding arena. I would have been just like happy as can be, beautiful wraparound, like I dreamed the whole thing. I don't have that, but I love what I have. Even though I've complained about it the last few days, which hurts my heart. Because like that car that I got and I was so excited about in the beginning, this amazing place that I get to live that truly is peaceful and calm and has my beloved woods right out the back door, even that became common. And you can find things to about. House needs some repairs. Well, they kind of all do over time, right? But sorry, this commandment just really reduced me. I'm just going to go to this. I couldn't escape the fact that every frustration I had, every discontent I have, every complaint I expressed was me saying, I want what other people have, and God, you weren't good enough and you didn't bless me enough. It changes how you look at what you have when you look at it with those eyes. And I'm saying no matter your situation, if you're called to it, God knows about it. It's not a mistake, and He hasn't forgotten you. He knows your struggle. He knows where you're at, and He knows the longing of your heart. He knows. He also understands that the consequence of living in this broken world means this for us. It's why the grief at the fall, because God had given us perfect. We never had to experience these things, but we chose this. We wanted this. These 10 commandments, looking at them this way, has impacted me so deeply. I think for a while I didn't focus so much on the 10 commandments because we don't live under the law and legalism anymore because Jesus covered it all. But it doesn't mean this goes away. It doesn't mean we don't have a calling to live according to them. It just simply means our salvation isn't dependent on keeping these or atoning for our sins. We don't have to bring a sacrifice to a priest to intercede on our behalf. That's been done. But these are here because the cost of this being covered was Jesus. So these all point back to God. These are all things and ways that we need to live with each other because our relationships with each other mirror or should mirror God's relationship with us. So when we're not content with what we have, when all we focus on is what we don't have or what I want, what will make it all better, we are truly looking at God and saying, you aren't enough because I want more. Those are hard words for me to say because I've done that so many times, especially when life is hard and I'm going through it. Like even now, I'm like, I want my kids back. I want them back. They will come back if that's God's plan for my life. So do I trust God? Even then? If it's God's plan for my life, that will be restored. And until then, I will not be blinded by my staring just at that, so I overlook what He's given to me. Because I'm looking around at all the people in here. You've been given to me. You fill a void and a hole in my heart. So, do our longings align with God's heart for us? Are we satisfied? Are we truly so grateful to God for what we have right now, no matter what it is or isn't? These aren't easy things. They aren't. And it's why Jesus had to die for us, because it's impossible for us to get this all right. Because boy, did we botch things up. Galatians 5:22 through 26. Legalism is helpless in bringing this about, and it only gets in the way. Among those who belong to Christ, everything connected with getting our own way and mindlessly responding to what everyone else calls necessities is killed off for good. It was crucified. Since this is the kind of life we have chosen, the life in the Spirit, let us make sure that we do not just hold it as an idea in our heads or just a sentiment in our hearts, but work out its implications in every detail of our lives. That means we will not compare ourselves with each other as if one of us were better and another worse. We have far more interesting things to do with our lives. Each of us is an original. This commandment is so important because it truly gets right down to our heart. It's all about the heart. So if somebody were to know your heart, who would they say you belong to? To God or not? Because belonging to God means you're often going to not make sense to people. People can watch you and observe you and wonder how in the world, knowing everything going on in your life and in your situations, how in the world do they still have hope? Why do they still have joy? Why can they still smile? Because it doesn't make sense when you're going through it to be able to find a peace. But if you know God, I'm telling you, if you really know Him, you will find your peace in everything. And I know it sounds impossible because I can hear silently all the, but you don't know. And you're right, I don't know everything, but I do know human nature can pop up a list of things in your head, but, can't be happy in this. No, it's not happy that I'm talking about, it's joy. Happy's a wonderful thing. I love to feel happy. I'm frequently happy, but I always have joy because that has a foundation in God. So aligning our hearts with God's. Because his heart is for you. Everything he's done and created is for you. His son died for you. Not because he did something wrong. God wasn't the one that messed up. God wasn't the one that said he wasn't enough. We were the ones that said, God, you're not enough. We want to be just like you. And then we made our decision. And what should have been the end for us, truly, because that's what we're deserving of. Each and every one of us in here is not deserving of anything but death and hell. Left to our own, that's it. That is it. And that's a very real fact. I know I talk love all the time because that is who God is. But if you are not God's, you're not going to experience that love. So this do not covet. It comes down to your heart, and it comes down to this question, do I trust God in everything? Even when I don't like it. Even when it really hurts. Even when it means giving up what I want more than anything. Even when God's saying, do you trust me with your kids enough to give them to me? Are we people that will say yes, even then? And it's okay to struggle. That's expected. It's absolutely expected. God's there for that. He didn't say, trust me and do it perfectly. He just said, trust me. You can keep coming back to that. Keep coming back to that. God, I'm trying. You can talk to him like that. God, help me to be content. God, help me to trust you because it's really hard right now because my life is falling apart. God, help me. God, fill me with your spirit that I may have peace and joy in all things. Is that Christians, we often say that in our all things are the happy times, right? Don't we kind of humanly go that way? Trust God in all things, and we smile and say the thing, but a lot of the times, like songs we sing, do we really pay attention to what we're saying and who we're saying it to and the implications of that? This, again, the series of the 10 Commandments has just really hit home again for me in ways I didn't expect, you know. I think because, man, from the day I was born, I've had the Bible drilled into me, endless memorizing, endless reading, Heidelberg Catechism and Canons of Dort, and people now are like, what, the Heidelberg what and the Canons of what? Oh yeah, those are things. Very, very, very serious things in some churches. Almost, in our church, Heidelberg Catechism was used more than the Bible was, and I had an issue with that. Don't let those things, or even this sometimes, because sometimes even this we can use to kind of cherry pick things. And we sometimes forget to set it all down and just bring ourselves empty-handed before God, ready to listen. God didn't just speak this and then was done. God still speaks now to you and to me, but that means we have to bring it to him and to hear and to listen. Not just in the good times, although that's often when we forget to go to God. Even non-believers seem to call out to God when things get bad, right? You hear endless stories of soldiers on the battlefield, yet don't believe in God until they do. God will make himself known to you. There is no escaping the reality of him. So just ask yourself, do I really trust God with everything as it is right now? And if you're like me, you're struggling seriously hard with that. Because there's things that I would shift and fix in my life and then say, now I am. But can we do that right now? And if you can't, bring that to him. God, I'm struggling and I want to be. Help me to be content. Help me to be grateful. Help me to be joyful over what I have, whether it's little or a lot. Be thankful for the relationships you have, and be thankful to God even if things fall apart or there's separation. We don't know God's plan for our life. We just don't. The only way we will know is by it being worked out in our life, but do we trust him with our life? Or are we going to continue to try and make our life look the way we want it to? Like those people or that one, or I want my life to look like that, or. Do we continually chase that, or do we continually chase God's heart? Those are hard things. I didn't hear these things when I went to church. Like, I always kind of had looked at the 10 Commandments as offenses and things we do to other people. And that's true. We harm other people. We hurt ourselves through it. Those are actions towards other people. But the idea that every single time it's broken, we've done it to God himself. I'm constantly reminded in these studies of how much work I have to do, of how far I fall short, of how I don't get it right, of how often I fail, but there's a common thing that I see in those moments, and that is when I start to walk a little away, when I've gotten really comfortable in life, things are smooth sailing. I don't stay as close to God as I did before. And God has a way of getting us to come back. And sometimes it hurts. He's had to do that with me a lot because I'm stubborn. You can ask my husband, I'm a little stubborn. I don't like admitting that, but I'm stubborn. Strong-willed. But just a little bit, just a little bit. So we're wrapping up these commandments, and it all comes down to this. Taken as a whole, from beginning to end, every single one of these commandments, it's all about our heart. Where is our heart in relationship with God? And does he mean enough in your life that that's even a question that we ask ourselves? I didn't for a long time. I do now all the time, and in ways that makes life even a little bit more difficult because I'm always like having to clean up my street with God. God, it's me again. I'm back. Already. I know. 17 minutes later and I already botched it. I'm sorry. He's there for that. His shoulders are wide. His arms are big. And his love is endless. He's not angry. He just asked you to recognize and give it to him and bring it to him. So the challenge this week is this question. Ask yourself, is my heart aligning with God's heart? And next week we're going to come back. And we're going to have communion. I'm very much looking forward to it. We get to use my pretty little communion glass. Thank you, Will. But I'm going to talk about Jesus and his fulfillment of these 10 commandments and the joy in that and the gift and the freedom that we have in that. But don't forget, the 10 commandments still matter. Good, basic things in life. It's how we need to interact and treat each other. But if you can't remember the 10 commandments or you're struggling to remember them all, you don't have to, because I'm going to give you one simple way to get them all right. I say simple knowing it's not. Love like Jesus. You're not going to kill anybody. You're not going to steal. You're not going to be envious. None of them. If you are loving like Jesus, you're going to get it right. So you don't have to worry about getting them all memorized. You don't have to worry about remembering all the words. You don't have to have the right order. You don't have to have all this stuff memorized. Just love like Jesus. And practice gratitude. Because it will change your life. And with that, we are done. I'm hoping lunch will work out today. It was make it on the fly, so know that I love you, and I'm hoping it tastes good.